Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that might sound like standard IT housekeeping at first, but trust me, it's actually a massive strategic decision for your entire company: identity management. Specifically, we are going to clear up a very costly confusion surrounding monolithic identity branding, like Okta. Buying the wrong license here can literally derail your budget and your security posture. But don't worry. By the end of this explainer, I'm going to give you a crystal clear, actionable checklist to ensure you never make the wrong identity purchase for your business. Okay, let's dive into this. If you've ever just assumed that buying one generic Okta license covers every single login need your company has, well, I am here to validate your confusion. It is a super common misconception, but we really need to shatter that myth right off the bat. As our source material plainly states, Okta actually sells two completely different products that just happen to live under the exact same brand name. Yep, they share a logo, but they have entirely different buyers, different pricing structures, and they solve completely different problems. To make sense of this, you kind of have to filter your own business needs into two distinct reality tracks. Think about it like this. Are you trying to manage the people on your payroll, or are you trying to manage the people who pay you? Workforce identity handles your employees, while customer identity handles your end users. The directories for these two groups are completely separate, the compliance posture is separate, and frankly, if you mix them up, you're throwing money out the window. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. 1. The core identity confusion. 2. Workforce identity, employee access. 3. Customer identity, user logins. 4. Comparing buyer personas. 5. Identifying core business needs. And finally, 6. That final decision checklist I promised you. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the core identity confusion, high stakes and hidden costs. You see, misunderstanding these products isn't just a simple technical error where you accidentally click the wrong button on a pricing page. Oh, no, it's a massive financial and security risk for your entire organization. To really grasp the stakes here, consider this. According to Okta's own AI threat protection data, over 80% of all data breaches stem from attacks on identity. 80%! In just 1 year, 1.9 billion session cookies were stolen from Fortune 1000 employees. Getting your identity layer wrong leaves your front door wide open to attackers. You've got to have the right lock for the right door. And then, oh boy, there's the financial trap perfectly known as the SSO tax. If you buy the wrong identity product, or even buy the right one for the wrong reasons, you trigger this tax. This is when SaaS vendors literally force you to upgrade your software plan. Say, jumping from a standard $15 tier all the way to a $50 plus enterprise tier per user, just to turn on basic security federations like SAML. If you don't map your identity tool correctly to your actual software stack, this tax will instantly drain your IT budget dry. Moving right along to Section 2, Workforce Identity, Employee Access and IT Control. And this brilliantly illustrates what we're talking about when we look at Okta Workforce Identity Cloud, or WIC. We are talking about the ultimate gatekeeper for your internal staff. This is exactly what your IT team expects from a workforce solution day to day. WIC is what your employees use to log into Salesforce, Jira, or Slack without having to memorize 50 different passwords. It enforces multi-factor authentication, manages the life cycle of an employee from onboarding to offboarding using a protocol called SIM, and it provides those vital audit logs you desperately need to pass a SOC 2 compliance check. Simply put, it optimizes entirely for IT control. But hey, here is a pretty surprising reality check for you. You know that automated lifecycle management we just talked about? Well, SIM provisioning typically only covers about 15 to 25% of a company's SaaS stack. Why? Because of that pesky SSO tax we mentioned earlier. The vast majority of the apps your employees use are left completely out of this automated perimeter. That means 75 to 85% of your onboarding and offboarding is likely still entirely manual, even if you just shelled out for a premium workforce tool. Let's shift gears to Section 3, Customer Identity, User Logins, and Developer Velocity. So unlike Workforce Identity, which lives safely in an IT admin console, Customer Identity Cloud, which you might have previously known as Auth0, lives entirely in your code base. It is built for the application your company is actually selling to the world. It provides your developers with drop-in code so they don't have to build complex login screens from scratch. We're talking handling social logins like Continue with Google, setting up passwordless magic links to boost your sign-up conversion rates, and even B2B enterprise SSO so you can close those massive client deals. It solves the massive headache of session management and password resets, but it optimizes strictly for user conversion and developer speed.
Now, the technical mechanics of why these products differ ultimately boils down to authentication versus authorization. Think of authentication as proving who you are. Authorization is defining what you're allowed to do once you're inside. Workforce identity really attempts to cover both of those layers for your employees. But customer identity, it usually stops at authentication. It verifies the user, hands a token over to your developers, and then lets your application's own code handle the authorization of what that user can actually see and click on.
Which brings us right to Section 4, comparing the buyer personas, IT versus engineering. Because these two products do such completely different things, they sit in completely different departments, creating a classic persona face-off. On the workforce side, your primary buyer is the head of IT. The budget comes from IT, and it scales up every single time you hire a new employee. Their main KPIs? Passing audits and saving time on provisioning. Now flip over to the customer identity side. The buyer there is the VP of engineering. The budget comes from product, and it scales up based on your monthly active users. Their goals? Getting users to sign up faster and ensuring that login screen doesn't lag. You can see clearly why an IT director's goals fundamentally conflict with a back-end engineer's priorities, right? Next up is Section 5, identifying core business needs, matching the tool to the problem. So how do you identify your core business needs so you don't end up buying the wrong platform? Let's filter your immediate pain points with two practical questions. First, look at your internal team. Do you have more than 50 employees? Are they juggling more than 25 different SaaS ops? And most importantly, do you have a scary SOC 2 compliance audit glaring at you on the calendar? If the answer is yes, well, your house is on fire when it comes to internal access control. You absolutely need a workforce identity investment to lock down your employee credentials and keep those auditors happy. Now, question 2. Look at what you sell. Are you shipping a software product to external users? Is a clunky homemade login screen killing your sign-up conversion rates? Or maybe you have an enterprise client threatening to walk away from a huge deal unless you offer SSO federation into their own systems? If this sounds like your reality, you strictly need a customer identity solution to empower your developers and save your sales pipeline. So the crucial point is coming up right here in Section 6, your final decision checklist, buying the right tool for the job. Let's synthesize all this data into the ultimate actionable checklist so you can lock in exactly the right identity path. Step 1, determine your target user. Are you securing an employee on payroll, or are you securing a paying customer? Step 2, identify the budget owner. Is IT footing the bill for internal control, or is engineering paying to speed up your product development? Step 3, define the critical metric. Do you desperately need to pass an audit, or do you need to boost user conversions? And finally, Step 4, calculate the hidden SSO tax. Seriously, do not buy a workforce tool without knowing exactly how many of your apps actually support it without demanding a massive enterprise upgrade fee. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought straight from our source material. Even if you correctly identify that you absolutely need a workforce identity platform, remember the coverage gap. If you buy it today, are you genuinely prepared to manually manage the 75% of your apps that completely dodge the SSO tax? Identity tools are incredibly powerful, absolutely, but understanding their real-world boundaries is the true secret to securing your business efficiently. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this checklist saves you a massive headache on your next software renewal.